What's going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. Our Sixers draft coverage continues. We are just a few days, Tiago, away from the NBA draft. It is next Thursday. Welcome, everybody, for watching us. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. For watching us live, comment. Let's talk about Jaden Hardy, a really intriguing Sixers draft target. With me, as always, my man Tiago at Tiago PHL. What's up, Tiago?
What's going on, Chris? Glad to be back. Talk about Jaden Hardy, a name that got invited to the green room. I don't know if you follow that. So it sounds like teams are going to be very high on him come draft night. And also, if you put a gun to my head and ask, what is the one player you think the Sixers would draft and keep? I would say it would be Jaden Hardy.
Interesting. Let's get into this. We've got Gabriel in the house. What's going on, Gabriel? Thanks for joining, man. We're talking pros, we're talking cons, and grading Jaden Hardy's fit with the Sixers. As always, lead us off, Tiago. What are some of the things that Jaden Hardy brings to the NBA?
Yeah, you watch him, and it's the offensive game that he brings to the table. When I was watching him with the G League, and it's a tough watch, man, because the G League, these guys, they just go wild. Like, there's not a lot of passing. There's not a lot of cohesion. It's just guys showcasing what their athleticism looks like. But anyways, when I was watching him with the G League, two things I wrote down right off the bat is the playmaking out of the pick and roll, specifically the scoring out of the pick and roll, and it's the isolation scoring. And if we all watch the NBA Finals, the NBA playoffs, it's about shot making, man. It's about one-on-one, me against you, and what can I do to put that ball in the hoop. And when you watch Jaden Hardy, there is some shot making qualities to his game, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Isolation, one-on-one. He's got a good wiggle. He can separate, and he's a very fluid shooter. On the pull-up, off the catch, he can operate on and off the ball. Those things are what NBA teams covet the most, I think, if you're to ask him about an NBA draft prospect. And he definitely brings that to the table. I also thought that operating on the pick and roll as a scorer, right? So teams are going to drop coverage on him to see if he can shoot. He was able to show that with the G League. So, getting that mid-range area off screens, he's got, again, that fluid jump shot that's usually pretty reliable. So I think as an offensive player, I would put him very, very high among the list of players that may be available for the Sixers to draft and can potentially develop into that on-ball scorer that teams love to have on their roster. So,
yeah, man, that's pretty much just piggyback off of that. Like, this is a potential ISO bucket getter, man. That's one of the biggest things the Sixers lacked in the playoffs last year. The Sixers in the playoffs need a guy that can go get a bucket, and this is it. You can see he's got deep range on the jumper. He excels scoring in one-on-one situations. He's got a variety of moves in his bag that's really intriguing. He can dribble, hit up pull-ups, step backs, turnarounds, like whatever you want, Tiago. Like, this guy has a huge repertoire. Solid ball handler. Nearly half of his shots were coming up on pull-ups and jump and floaters. And then he averaged 0.84 points per pull-up jump shot, 51st percentile. I came away really impressed with his hesitation moves. Like, he clearly thrives going downhill and even flashed some vision as a passer. As you see him, his ability to kind of see the court, dribble, get his teammates involved is really interesting. And then the catch and shoot potential is really intriguing. Three-point shooting wasn't all hit. It was up and down a little bit, but he definitely flashed some of his potential there. 36.6% of his catch and shoot threes from catch and shoot in the G League. So that's not bad. That is not bad. He's clearly able to shoot effectively off screens, shoot off movement. I got some like Jordan Clarkson in him a little bit from what I was watching. And then talk about catch and shoot, 1.17 points per catch and shoot jump shot. That is 76th percentile. So when his feet set, he's solid, but with the ball, that's when he flashes oodles of potential, right, Tiago?
Yeah, you touched on it from the standpoint of the IQ and the half court. I mean, that's one of the things I'm very high on Jaden Hardy because I think his passing needs a lot of work. He's very sloppy on the ball sometimes, but you see the IQ in the half court and seeing guys in the pick and roll out in the corner making reads that I would consider to be advanced reads for a guy at his experience level. So the IQ part of it is very exciting because I think that speaks to the player that he could potentially be at 19, right? 19. So that's very exciting to see. You touched on the 0.84 points per pull-up possession, which is pretty good for a G League. And I guess this leads into the not so good part of Jaden Hardy because he averaged 0.83 points per shot at the rim.
Yeah.
So he's averaging pretty much the same output as a shooter as he is at the rim. And when you watch him getting downhill, sometimes it's not very pretty, man. It's just not pretty. He takes some wild shots at the rim. He's going to struggle with NBA verticality, so bigger forwards that can really kind of put the lid on the rim. He's going to be able to have to maneuver through that. He's very linear. He's not very reliable around the rim, man. And that's for him to become that 3-level scorer, that impact 3-level scorer out of the pick and roll. He's going to figure out a way, man, because it wasn't very pretty. And then the other factor of it is just defensively, he's not the fastest guy. Like his athleticism to me didn't particularly like pop off the screen. So you gotta be mechanically, you gotta be fundamentally sound defensively. And I think that his footwork, especially on closeouts, needs work. The way he attacks angles needs a lot of work. And sometimes I just thought his effort level kind of seemed to go up and down defensively. Things that you can potentially work on with him, but the fact that he's not an elite athlete, he's gonna have to really kind of hone in on those details.
Gabrielle says he was a top 10 talent at this time last year for this class, but he dropped last season. I just echo again. I fully agree. His finishing is not the greatest. He's not an elite athlete. He's not incredibly explosive. He doesn't have an elite first step, and he's clearly going to struggle. Creating separation at the next level. He's going to have to adjust, and that's going to be really interesting. His decision-making can be a concern at times, especially his efficiency. He had more turnovers than assists. This guy coming into the NBA, he's clearly not going to be a point guard by any means. I think he's going to be this microwave scorer off the bench type of role, at least to start. And then I have defensive consistency, just like you said. So I think he has the tools on defense. He just doesn't have the motor and the drive. So that's just as many positives about Jaden Hardy. I have definitely as many kind of concerns or question marks. Right, Tiago?
Yeah, he's a raw talent. And that comment, he's 19, don't do it. I don't buy that because the Nets drafted a guy very young last year called Cam Thomas, who is very much in the similar mode of Jaden Hardy. And they used him, man. He played, and he was a very effective player in the regular season. Now, granted, the playoffs are a different animal, but I'll guarantee that Cam Thomas is going to have a much more expanded role this year for the Nets, and he may even turn out to be a starter in the NBA. Who knows? So, Hardy has a similar type of trajectory, I feel like. And these are the players, man. At 23, if you hit, you're talking about a potential starter player, I would say. So, I would definitely think that there's definitely a fit there with the Sixers for the draft for sure. And like I said before the podcast, I think the Sixers would make this pick and keep him because of that shot-making profile that it brings to the table.
Gabrielle says he's a raw talent. I fully agree. Sharpleaf 21 says I'd rather go for Terry if available or even Christian Braun. Honestly, those are two big names that we've covered here through the NBA draft process. Go check those videos out, highlight reels, scouting reports, you name it. Also, they're over more in depth writing at thepaintlines.com if you want to check that out as well. But let's just jump right in to fit with the Sixers. How would you grade it, Tiago, out of 10? What's your vibe?
Yeah, I'm giving like a 9.2, 9.3.
Woo! Love it.
I think another comment would Doc develop him this year? No. I think Doc has zero interest in playing Jaden Hardy this year on his roster. But when you talk about coming off the bench, right, who are your shot makers off the bench? Assuming that Maxine Harden plays, who's coming off the bench and giving you a tough bucket on the ball? There's nobody right now, right? I mean, they're mostly pick and roll ball handlers, combo guards, off the catch players. the Sixers need a dog like that. They could come in and set the team on fire a little bit. So I guess there's definitely some microwave scoring potential that him. We're welcome very much on the Sixers team.
Yeah. Alton Williamson says, also the main question is, would Doc develop him this year? That is the question, Alton, the question. Slim says he shot 40% from three his last 8 games of the season. His poor shooting percentage at the beginning of the year is hurting his stock too much. Nailed it, man.
Yeah, the shot looks good, man. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I don't worry so much about the percentage because there's some shot decisions that need to be worked on. So sometimes take some contested looks. But if you watch the mechanics, to me, they look sound. So I'm very high on the shot making for him.
Yeah, I'm really high on Jaden Hardy. I'm giving him a 9.4, which for me ties him with Jalen Williams here in this draft, 9.4 out of 10. So I think he's a great fit for what the Sixers need. If you remember last year, we were both really high on Cam Thomas, and we just missed out on that guy. I think this guy's in that same mold, like a Bradley Beal type of bucket getter. That's really, really intriguing. So his upside starts and ends for me, at least, as a microwave scorer. Off the dribble, off the catch. The Sixers need one of those guys. And there's the concern that, Hardy has a lot of ways to go in a lot of areas, defense, decision-making, finishing. All those areas need to be improved for sure. And probably could be areas that keep him off the court, at least in year one. So there are definite concerns, as many as possible. But I love this kid. I think he'd be a solid selection at pick number 23. We've got a question. What about Jaden Springer? Should he get some minutes this year? I honestly can't tell you that. I'm excited for the Summer League to see how he's grown a little bit. He's had some flashes with the G League last year for sure, some scoring flashes. Any thoughts on Jaden Springer, Thiago?
Defensively, I think he can come in and step in right away. We both watched at the G League. He is a plus defender, very strong. So I like him a lot defensively. Offensively, man, I don't know what he is, to be honest. And I don't know how you can play him on a team with like Matisse Thybulle and some other guys that don't bring a lot of offensive firepower to the table, because he does not look very polished offensively. And it's a little bit disappointing because I thought he would bring it. He was a little more polished than that coming out of Tennessee. So I'm not sure what he's going to bring to the table this year. So we'll wait and see on that. But defensively, he would definitely be like their third or fourth best defensive player, I think, right off the bat.
Gabriel says they're both guards, but really different players. Raw, and I have concern about team impact for sure, especially year one, year two.
But this is the thing, like you want guys like this in your system, man. Like, these guys, like, if they hit, if Springer hits and Hardy hits, now you got some serious juice off the bench, man. And like that's what you want on your team. I understand like you're making win now moves, but you also want to have these guys on your system that you can develop and come in and become like a third or fourth guy in your team, man. Like that's exciting.
All right, that about wraps it up for Jaden Hardy. We're leaving, but we're coming right back. We're doing our next show on Kendall Brown. Really interesting Sixers target that you have to know about. Kendall Brown out of Baylor is really an intriguing high flyer that would fit really well with the Sixers. Slim says 9 out of 10 for me. He's talented enough to figure out our 3-and-D wing. I fully agree. Fully agree. Off topic, but I really want to know what would have happened if Fultz would have been. I mean, that's a whole conversation.
You got Maxey as a kind of an example, right? Maxey kind of slid in as the Fultz pick in a way.
Yep. All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up. But again, we'll be right back to break down Kendall Brown. You got to know about that guy. Follow my man Tiago on Twitter at TiagoPHL. I am Dobbs, Mr. Crockpot for Tiago, for myself. See you in a second. Stay awesome, everyone.